Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. Well, it's a Friday. That means we're beginning the weekend from here. And we don't know if Sheikh Ibrahim El-zakzaky is indeed in town, because all the reports we've heard was that he left, or it was planned that he should leave India on Thursday. India, in fact, some reports say he left India 5 p.m. Nigerian time on Thursday, so we don't quite know if he's in town yet. The idea was that the story said that, even though he was coming back, there would be a stopover in Ethiopia and all of that. But why are we in the middle of this sort of a debacle? For a long time, it was that court orders were not being obeyed. Now, in this latest instance, the court did say that, fine, we grant your application. You've applied for leave to receive treatment abroad at a hospital of your own choosing. And in this case, I think it was a place called Medanta Hospital. But so, long story short, he arrived, and then it wasn't as smooth as we had thought, because he had a number of complaints. To summarize them very, very briefly, Sheikh Ibrahim El-zakzaky, among other things, said that, one, he didn't trust the doctors there. Two, he wasn't allowed freedom, any sort of freedom. And I think three, at least that was added by the federal government in a release that I saw, insisting on things like a 5-star hotel. That has, however, been debunked by by the spokespeople for Sheikh El-zakzaky, saying that why would he do a thing like that? Anyhow, he's not in. My guest this morning, Major Debo Bashono, retired. He's a communications and security consultant. Thank you very much for coming on.
Good morning,
Indeed.
Nigerians.
Indeed, thank you very much. And, we have a lawyer right next to him, Oj Akinwale. He's a public affairs analyst, apart from being a lawyer. Thank you very much for coming on as well. Indeed. Good morning. Let's start it from the law generally, because this is where it's all at. Government, there's a sense in which you can say he was in the possession of government. That's a horrible construction, but you know what I mean. He's a guest of the State Security Service. And from there, he was granted leave to go for treatment abroad. Now, the way it has all gone now, the government has complied. Sheikh El-zakzaky apparently is not cooperating and has said that, you know what, I was better off in Nigeria when it comes to things, so I want to go back home. So where do you think we are now? Government complied, the man himself didn't cooperate.
Well, once it has been given, there is a court order, and this time around, the federal government obeyed that order, and he was allowed to travel. That one is the first step, and the step has been taken in legal parlance. That means obedience to court order. Then the next one is what happened over there. So that one will be another issue, because obedience is court order, then they have to go back to court and report that we've obeyed the court order, and this is the impasse we have. And then the legal team will take it from that. And its own legal team too we have, if they have any complaint. From the government side, they were saying that it is the sheikh that is now making the matters difficult for him to able to benefit from the order made by the court, which the government is now obeying. So now it will be the report. The report we have now is one-sided, but opportune to speak.
Which part of it is one-sided?
Because what the report we don't have directly from him, but from another report which I got yesterday.
Maybe you saw that video clip circulating on social media of him in an airplane.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was an airplane where he was saying that it was the federal government who has muddled all of this up. He was speaking about the federal government and India, the Indian government, being in some sort of a cooperation. I mean, I don't know what he thought.
Yes, from what I gathered yesterday, I was opportune to speak with one of the press secretary of the organization yesterday around 9 o'clock. And what he was saying was that he received a report from him, even a telephone conversation from the Sheikh saying that he's ready. But the only thing he was saying is that he wants two particular, even if it is one of them that he has a relationship with, medical relationship with, to be in the team, that the people he have seen that none of them have attended to him or knows about his case. That is just what he was asking for. And I put it to him that he was asking for a 5-star hotel. He said nothing like that happened. He did not even ask for a 5-star hotel in Nigeria. He cannot do that outside the country. That what he's saying, I want one of the doctors to be there.
Yes.
And if that one is there, I believe,
and perhaps,
if it is
and
what
perhaps also, I don't want the SSS hanging around me all the time, because he talked about no freedom, for goodness sake.
Really, if it depends on the hospital, what is the security put in place by the hospital? And while the doctor is attending to him, I believe normally patient and doctor's relationship is a relationship of utmost good faith. So it's a personal relationship. And if you want that report to be with him, I may not want it to be out there. So, but there is a way they will have done it, which I believe that it will have been stated out here in Nigeria, so that it will not be like national issue or national embarrassment. If we are there, only one person is holding the team or Nigeria to ransom and say it is creating a scene between Nigeria and India now turning it from just personal issue of a person who is an alleged to be a criminal in Nigeria in terms of the charges against him, and it's now turning to an issue of international relationship.
I suppose he hasn't been convicted yet.
Yes,
so we have to be careful about the word criminal.
That's what I'm saying.
We have to be careful about the word.
No, when
I don't
you
know
said
whether prisoner, I don't know what the correct word is.
Challenge, charged, and you said it's a suspect. It's an alleged. That's the word I used, alleged.
Yes, but you just used the word criminal, so I just wanted to...
Suspect. That if you have a suspect, the suspect here should not be turned to national issue turned to international relation. That means that the government is not handling it very well, and those SSS are not handling it very well. It should be a quiet thing that if it is specifically stated here in Nigeria that we are going out there, tell us the doctor that we meet you, and they too, they will scan and say that doctor are there, and so that there will be no issue like this that I don't have the doctor, I don't know these doctors.
I hear you. And well, first of all, Major, coming to you now. Well, this morning, says that its headline is that he's expected, he arrives today in terms of, into where is he now exactly, having been reported to have left India 5 p.m. on Thursday. But without, one of the headlines says that he arrives today, and we're hearing also, my producer is just saying into my ear that actually he's expected at noon today.
Nigeria.
Yeah, in Nigeria today, fine. Now, actually it's the federal government that sort of requested that, you know what, if this thing is going to be difficult or it's going to get messy, can you please let us have him back? And there's some part of it that I haven't quite understood yet, is that he reportedly went out, with an airline on his own funds, but now the federal government has, made available the funds for him to come back to his country, and they have made all the arrangements. Now, what do you think of this matter? Because the SSS that were sent there to be with him, they went on holiday or something like that. They didn't go on an excursion trip. So I don't know exactly how it goes when he's not exactly a fugitive, but a suspect. Yeah, let's just say a suspect that is still highly involved with the courts. I don't know how you treat those kind of people when they go out like that. After all, their concern would have been, we can't let him escape or anything. So there would have been some governmental talking tool between India and Nigeria, and the thing was going haywire. What do you make of the whole situation of El-zakzaky arriving in India, declining to be treated, and is now on his way back home?
I think, I don't know what the international implications are, but I know of what happens in Nigeria here. If somebody is a suspect and is being kept either in custody or in the hospital for treatment, and suspected of having committed an offense by the government might send a policeman to keep watch over him. I've seen instances in Nigeria here where some suspects are chained to their beds in the hospital. It's happened before. But when the doctor is about to consult with the patient, the security man moves to the door. That's the procedure in Nigeria now. I don't know what obtains overseas.
Because that's fine. Because actually I want us to shift to Nigeria now. He's on the way back home. El-zakzaky is coming back home. IMN is there. So where do we go from here? Because, by the way, an NMA spokesperson has spoken up and has said that, look, I don't know anything about his case, but looking at him, he couldn't figure out what might have been ailing him that would have been beyond the capabilities of the Nigerian medical system and medical personnel.
Well, my take on this is that I would want to believe that the IMN, they are very good spin doctors. This is my own personal opinion, because before his departure, El-zakzaky's departure from Nigeria, there who have been T's crossed and I dotted. Were those things done? What the public should be curious about is that there should be some laid down procedures, conditions. And he's got, intellectuals around him. This IMN man, and we used to see them on TV and the radio and the newspapers all the time. If this man has chosen a hospital of his own choice in India, there's every possibility to think that he must have discussed about the doctor who's going to treat him there, whether the doctor there or the doctor treating him in Nigeria. But you can see that the spokesperson of the IMN did not even touch about that, because those are things they would have ironed out, or if El-zakzaky has been forced into the plane or something, they would have shouted back in Nigeria here and said, look, we didn't want this doctor that was sent with him. We want so-so doctors. So. Nobody raised any observation until he got there. And when he got there, according to the Indian government too has their own version of they said that it was becoming incorrigible. We don't
too
want
difficult to manage. Now,
yes.
Spend a few moments on the pictures we saw of him. Look, I don't think anybody here has medical training, but just using our eyes, he didn't look sick.
That's exactly the point I'm trying to make.
He didn't look sick
the
on the level that we've been hearing that, God forbid, he might die. They didn't, as I said, thoroughly untrained, at least speaking for myself, and I imagine that you guys haven't been anywhere in medical school. Give me your thoughts on that, OJ. You saw the video. He had a strong voice. He didn't seem to need any assistance. What do you think? And yet, he knows himself best. He represented that he needed medical treatment. So we said, okay, I understand that there was a document of about 22 doctors or something like that, all of them saying he did need treatment abroad. But he didn't seem to need any help. You saw the picture. That's a picture of the sheikh right there. I'm not too sure exactly when this was taken. This was in India. Yeah, this was in India and with officials. Not sure how many of them, who is a doctor, who is not, but this was in India. Now, and then we heard his voice. So, without going into what SSS knows or what SSS doesn't know, all we have is that the man volunteered a recording of himself, and we heard him and we heard his voice in which he was blaming the government.
Well, once there is a medical report, there is a presumption that the medical report is correct.
I know the medical report. I understand the medical.
Yes.
I'm just saying that since you saw the video yourself.
Yes,
okay.
I saw the video. And because of experience, I've been involved, and I know about a case involving IREWOLEDE. He was charged. It's late now. He was charged that time. Even EFCC was saying he was okay. We are shouting that this man can drop dead now. We have the report. Irrespective of that, he can talk, he can shout. We have different personality and the strength. And they refused. Even they made the court to refuse to grant him bail. And he died few days after. And since then, I have, once there is a medical report, I give the medical report that that's right, that they have observed him. And merely looking at a person, you may not know what is happening in its organ internally. We can see outward. There's some ailment that will not affect your voice, even not affect your reasoning, but it's affecting killing the person internally. So we may not know about that. But if you look at him physically and with the turn of events, And there is a lot of doubt that will be coming that if the turn of events says it's not cooperating, if a person knows that he can easily drop dead, at least it will allow those who can treat him now to treat him. So that's the reason that if you balance both sides, and we may not, people are saying that looking at him it means that it's okay, they will not be wrong because of the turn of events now.
Okay. Good morning, Joshua, in IREWOLEDE.
Okay, very good morning.
Good morning.
Sorry to call you so early.
No. It's fine.
It seems to me that the lawyer with you is not abreast of the situation of this matter. And I think we should separate the person from the issue. The issues have very serious ramifications, but I want to dwell on the person. Please, medical science has gone beyond my doctor. There are equipment all over the world that can detect anything firsthand. And the El-zakzaky has a medical history, which I'm sure they would have taken along with him to India.
Yeah, what they call the case notes.
So, yeah, he has a case file. So the idea of his personal doctor, where does that come in? Where does that come in? I think something is fishy, which has been aborted. That medical trip, if he was insisting on particular people, particular places to be treated, then it was actually an escape plan. But it has been botched. The way this matter was presented to us, I must say, because I felt some sympathy for the guy, I felt that he was at the point of death. Now, if he was that sick before they moved him out to a critical situation, how come that he got to India and it became a media issue? Granting, should he even have been able to see which doctor was attending to him? If he was that critical, he would have presented it to Nigerians. Please, these people should stop taking us on a ride. We value human life, and that is the kind of support we're giving to him. But the government was completely blackmailed. Like, I mean, this guy was a dead meat in prison, and you are not granting him opportunity to be treated. Please, we want the truth.
Okay.
Which is, as for me, that man was not sick to that critical point of death they are talking about. And the issues now should be when he is in Nigeria, we want peace. He should stand trial for his offense.
Okay.
While he is being treated along the line. That has happened several times.
Sure.
So his group should understand that the government has done their part. They should take responsibility for whatever happens to him when he is back to Nigeria. And they should stop hitting the policy.
All right,
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Joshua, for calling in. And really, I think it's convenient now for us to, as it were, edit out the India sector. India wasn't part of this whole conversation. It was El-zakzaky. It was his dire illness, life-threatening condition that he was in that bought the sympathy of most people on both sides. Say, look, if a man is ill, okay, the court now said, this time, let it be. And then as Joshua is pointing out, you arrive over there and you look fine. We've put the caveat there. You look fine. Your voice was not tired. Your voice was not. Your voice was strong. You know, repeating that one doesn't have any medical knowledge, but we did see life-threatening. Okay, now all of these. This was when he was leaving. This was the situation in which he left, and that's his wife there, maybe someone else. And well, you can see, you can see the picture when he arrived over there. And then, very sort of fortunately, before we can be saying all of it, there's nothing like seeing a man's picture, and then it's even better where you can see his video, and then you won't be able to conclude your case, but you can make some sort of broad strokes as to say, okay, I see. I can now see the condition. So every Nigerian now has a sense of how well or how ill he was or is still. So now he's going to arrive back. They say by noon he'll be back. You know, he's going to arrive back. So we have to go back. What's going to happen now? We'll go back to the court, but he still has to go back and continue. It was always implied that we're granting you leave. In fact, one of the officials was explaining that this is not bail. This is leave being granted to go for medical attention, and you're going to come back and continue with your trial. So that's where we are now, to continue with the trial. Because you can forget all that went about. If we even forget the video, he's back home. We know there is no life-threatening situation with him. Well, at least maybe those who know how to look at those things might conclude as such. And so the next thing is to continue with the trial. And as Joshua said from IREWOLEDE, hope we can do that now and lessen the tension, and IMN people should just chill a bit. Is that Mr. Sanda in Ilorin?
Yes.
Okay, good morning. Please go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Please, I just want you to let the federal government be very careful with El-zakzaky case over there, because he going to India, then coming back. There might be some plan with the India people there or some other agency there. They need to be very careful so that he doesn't escape along the route coming back home. And then on reaching home, they need to be careful about him. Some people might follow him down here from India to do a lot of mess. So federal government has to be very, very careful.
Okay.
That's my point.
Thank you very much, Major. You see, because we will come up with our theories.
That's what I was saying, that initially it would have been, when we know that this issue of El-zakzaky has gone beyond ordinary being a suspect because of what is happening with the group and the recent thing that happened in Abuja. So what will have, I believe that the team will have done is to make it open, because you have to
He's
be
still a suspect.
Yes, he's a suspect.
If by suspect you mean he has to answer to charges.
Yes, you have to answer to charges. And again, we should have, that's what I'm saying, that this thing ought not to have happened, because the intelligent people ought to have think out of the box that we know, because initially some people are saying the reason of going out
You're going to be blaming the intelligence services now for following a court order? You want to blame them for following a court order?
You have to
how is that?
You have to look beyond the box. You know, okay, if you get there and said, okay, medical team, it has happened before. Medical, they have a wealth of experience that medical team that is going to deal with him, know the doctors, know the name of the doctors, you scan the doctor, you have already contacts with those doctors. We are coming so time. You know, they have their own medical team too, who will liaise with the doctor there.
I just wonder why you aren't taking all of this for granted. I just wonder why you aren't taking all of the things that you're saying for granted. I mean, the SSS, there are a bunch of professionals in there. All these questions, all this crossing of T's and dotting of I's. Maybe I'm in error, but I would have assumed that they would have taken all of those.
That is what's not done.
They would have been taken care of. You can't sit there and say those things were not done.
That is the issue they have there. But that doctor...
Where do you get the confidence from, sir? To say that none of that was done.
Normally, if a court have granted leave to a person to go to a particular doctor, you will know. You have the medical report here in Nigeria.
Yes.
That there is a doctor that released that report. You will, okay, it will mention the name of the doctor out there that we met with him. That is how the medical report is always done. You mention the name of the doctor, and they have to get in touch with the doctor, and the doctor must be part of the team that is going to welcome them, and they will hand him over to that doctor.
Okay.
So that's normal.
Okay.
But when you do other things, it's abnormal, it will raise this issue.
ALHAJI SUBAIR is on the line in ALIMOSHO. Good morning, sir.
Morning, Mr. Yori. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Please go ahead.
Yes. Yeah. Mr. Yori, you see, my point is this. Yes, yes. Good morning, Mr. Yori. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Okay. You see, my point on El-zakzaky is, you understand, to me, it's a gimmick. You see the kind of the position, you see the position he is when he was in Nigeria, and you see the position he is when he was in India. But the point is that it's more or less a practice in Nigeria. Even those people that, that has a case, it's more or less a practice in Nigeria. People that want to surpass justice, they use that opportunity to say, they want to go to overseas for treatment. So it's more or less a practice in Nigeria. Those even who are dupe the government is the system of Nigeria to escape justice, and that is exactly what El-zakzaky is doing.
So now that he's coming back home, he's on the way back home as we speak. Well, how do you think we should proceed? He just goes and resumes his situation and well, the process of answering the charges.
Okay.
Right?
Yes. Okay. My own point is this. All right.
Okay. Thank you for calling in. You know, the important thing from all of this is that El-zakzaky went because he requested to go. And whatever happened, not meeting with his satisfaction, he himself had said, I'd rather go home. I was better off at home, you know, rather than all of this kind of a situation here. And so now he's coming back. So I guess the point that shouldn't be missed is that he is back to where he was, as the court had said, even before going, that we'll grant you leave to go and then come back and continue from where you left off. So really, that's where we are now, right?
Right.
He just has to come back
And face the music.
and face the music.
Yeah.
Yeah. On a humanitarian ground, the government said, okay, he's applied for some sort of an interruption so that we go. And they said, okay, let him go. It's his right. Let him go. But now it didn't work, so he's come back, so he has to come and resume. Mazi Okorafor, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, our guests in the studio.
Good morning.
So I don't know, what is the referral letter from India telling us now? Because, you know, in a situation like this, there must be a letter from India now back to Nigeria. You see, the only thing we need in this country right now is we have to pray fervently. That is the only thing. Because for Nigeria now, what we need is prayers. Whether the letter is coming from India or not coming, whether the case file has been sent to India or it's back to Nigeria, if you watch television now, they will tell you it's coming this noon. Some people will tell you it has arrived. So you don't even know which one is it. But the thing is that what we need Nigeria now today, everybody should pray fervently. That is the only solution. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos.
All right, then. Thank you very much for calling in. Relate to that, Major.
Well, according to my learned friend here, he said most of the processes must have been done in Nigeria before they left.
I would imagine.
And I'm sure among the IMN people, they are lawyers. I've seen them on TV.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They are intellectuals. They're everything. And I know for sure that before they can endorse, agree with this government of President Buhari to allow El-zakzaky to go to India after his choice of the hospital, they must have gone through all these papers. Gone through. I mean, you not
Actually, it was the government that agreed with them.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly
Not
what
that
I'm
they
trying to
agreed with the
portray.
government. The government agreed with them.
They agreed with them, and when you got there, now the question is, no, I don't want this doctor.
Okay, let's go on a break now. When we come back, we'll continue, and we'll continue to take calls as well. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and we're looking at Sheikh Ibrahim El-zakzaky, awaiting his return to Nigeria because he was very much in the news. He needed medical treatment abroad, has been abroad. It didn't work out, and so he's on his way back home as we hear. Somebody pointed out that we've been hearing that because the first we heard was that he was actually homeward bound 5 p.m. on Thursday. It only takes 10.5 hours, you know, between India and Nigeria. So if indeed that was correct and there's been no diversion, he would have arrived before now. But the latest we're hearing now is that he's expected around noon. Now, it didn't work over there, and he's on his way back to Nigeria, mentioning countries like when it was seen that whatever was the initial plan or thinking or hope, it wasn't working quite as they had expected, perhaps. Then Malaysia, Indonesia, Turkey were also mentioned that, you know, maybe things can be better there. Well, in the meantime, can we just have our citizen back, please, so that we can just take it from there. So that's what we're waiting now, and I'm sure that the authorities will have much to say. Well, I shouldn't have said that. They probably will have something to say, because the authorities cooperated this time. And then the lack of cooperation, so funnily enough, surprisingly enough, the way it's looking came from their side, say, no, we can't work with this kind of a situation. So we're back home. And I don't think we should have any more trouble about the state of his health, because, you know, he himself felt good enough to say, I'm not quite down with the way it's set up here, and I'd rather go home. Allegedly, he's alleged to have said that I'd rather go home. I was better off in Nigeria. Again, allegedly. He's alleged to have said that. So we're back where we are, and as Mazi Okorafo, who called in, said, can we just all be prayerful and let's just pick it up where we left it. But are you really concerned about, because IMN, first of all, has been prescribed. That's important to know. It has been prescribed. I think they themselves have said that they're going to chill a bit regarding their protests against that kind of a thing. So it looks like we're beginning to approach some sort of common ground, no matter how much on the fringes they might be of such common ground. But those are the next concerns, aren't they? One, IMN, his organization, has been prescribed, but because government was being humanitarian, even though they think they have him on a very, very serious offense, they still allowed him to go on his request where he wanted and where he specifically requested. But now the request has changed to maybe we can check out Malaysia, India, or, Malaysia, Indonesia, or Turkey. At this rate, where are we going to be? So Comrade OGBANAGO.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Yes, sir. On El-zakzaky's returning back from India.
Yes.
I think you can see what the government has been skeptical over the years. You can see what is happening. It is a clear indication that the man has been trying to jump bail over the years, and that is what is happening. He chose India himself, and the letter was attached to the court details that he was going to a hospital in India. On getting to India, he started behaving as if nothing has happened to him before. Look at, if you view that video very well, I am not a doctor, just as you said, but as a layman like you and I will know that nothing is happening to that man. I'm very, very sorry to use that word. You see that nothing is happening to him. Now he's coming back to Nigeria. What are we saying now? Is it going back to his house or to the court? That is where our argument should base now. And for me, he should go back to court and face the judgment, because the man is not sick. Good morning.
Okay, good morning, and thank you very much. I think I can stick my neck out here, and not having any legal training whatsoever. Did he go there from his house? So why would he come back and go to his house? So I'm just assuming, without having any legal training, but thank God we have a lawyer here. Can you just relate to the man's question and say, well, now he's coming back. Is he going home, or is he going back to where he left off?
Yes, since the court has made pronouncement, he just leave for his, it's not a bill to go home. So now what they will do is that's the reason I said this is just part one. The part two will be, they have to report to court. The court is on vacation, but there is a vacation judge. Most of the criminal courts are not on vacation. They can file an application telling the court the federal government has obeyed the court order, and it did not make use of the opportunity. And because the court will be concerned here, because it's only the living that can praise the Lord, it's only living that can stand trial. So they must make sure that it's alive to stand the trial. And that's the reason they have to report to the court that we've not been blamed. We have taken our steps. He has gone there. This is the issue we have.
Yeah.
Then if they too have a ground and said they can file, either party can file and said, okay, the court did not make an order in vacuum. The court order must be obeyed irrespective of the way it is. So they too, we said, yes, we've gone there, but we did not make you the opportunity.
Sure.
Then they can come to the court and file a proper application. That application has been, to me, the order has been obeyed.
You know, even though nobody would have known that this was how it was going to turn out, it's now that I can see the importance of the statement that was made by someone relevant in there at the time, that make no mistake, this is not bail. This is the granting of leave, to non-loyalty types like ourselves, we can understand that it's not bail. It's the court granting leave to go for medical attention. And it is only now, following from your explanation, that that takes on added significance, that somebody, was mindful enough to state that fact at the time of then when it would appear they were celebrating a victory. That it's not bail. It's leave having been granted. Mr. Aino in Adodo, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Thank you for calling in, sir.
And good morning. Yes, good morning. Yes. Let me just say this. Number one, you claim a suspect. It's no longer a suspect. It's an accused person now. But leaving that aside, what are the circumstances in which you can discharge yourself from an hospital legally? Number one, there are two things which the person needs to consider. First, are you an adult? Number two, do you have the capability? Which means there's nothing wrong with you, this and that. But there are an exception. Sometimes if you have a mental problem, the doctors can detain you in that hospital, or if they realize you are going to become a risk to yourself, or it's in the public interest that you stay in that hospital. Because what is wrong with you, you might go out and be attacking people and what have you. And most hospitals, they have what they call self-discharge policy. And the problem we have with this gentleman who is coming to Nigeria is more than welcome, is this. You've been granted medical leave. You've traveled, you've exercised that right, and you are coming back on your own volition. Whether you can still make another application to travel or not is a different thing. And let me even say this empathetically. If you don't want to die, the pre-issue is this. Number one, eat well, use your medication, and keep an appointment with your doctor. But if you want to play with death, what you can do is either you don't use your medication, and then when you have an appointment with the doctor, you don't keep it, and you live there. Now, he's coming back to Nigeria. I doubt whether any court will give him a second bite of the cherry so that he can go back again. What he should do now, and also, you are granted medical leave. They did not grant you leave to go and produce a video. And
okay. Sorry, the line has gone funny. But thank you very much, Mr. Aino. Mr. Aino is a lawyer, in fact, an international lawyer. He often is a guest now and again on our program. So it came out there, he discharged himself. I mean, everything was voluntary from his side. He volunteered the information to the court. The court acted on the information that he volunteered to them. They said, fine. He went, and then, as was his prerogative, even though Mr. Aino was explaining, the pros and the cons, he exercised his prerogative to discharge himself. Of sound mind, I understand how he was making the point that, was he of sound mind? Yeah, of course he was. We heard him speak. Nobody has said anything to the contrary. So he's back where he started. Now the theory, some people putting across this theory that, maybe this thing was a ruse all along. We're now coming to that side here. I don't know. Maybe this was a ruse all along. And that he, again, volunteered a video. That was not a forced video. He volunteered a video to help people out, even though that might not have been his intention. People who wanted to get a better grip on this whole matter, he produced a video and sent it to us. Now, everything has been voluntary from his side. 1, 2, 3. And now he's expected back in Nigeria. So, as I think Mr. Dari called in relation to the whole bail aspect and the question of where is he going. Who's in Kaduna? Francis in Kaduna.
Yes.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Okuyori. Good morning to your guest.
Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you. I think if you actually follow the trend of this El-zakzaky, from the beginning of everything with the federal government, you will be rightly to say is the action and attitude of federal government is bringing the reactions of the El-zakzaky and people that are managing him in terms of his health. From the beginning, the federal government have not been able to speak the truth about El-zakzaky regarding from the bail he was granted. You know, the court granted him a bail and the federal government disobeyed the court order for how many years, and the agitation has been going on. From there, we come to the, protesters that are, becomes radical about everything, and so many things. So it will be totally unfair for someone to blame, El-zakzaky and Shed totally for what is happening now. They go to India and the man wanted his personal doctor to, treat him. I think I will not be among the people that will blame him. Yes, because there have been a breach of trust between the federal government and the Shed, even from the beginning of this very case. So I think what federal government would have done is just to keep an eye as far as the man is in their custody, and they are very, very sure that this man is in this very hospital. Why not allow his own doctor that he has requested to treat him over there in India? What is the matter? And what are they afraid of if El-zakzaky have requested for his own private doctor to treat him, and the federal government are collaborating with the Indian government and saying no, if he's a doctor of this doctor must treat you, if not, you are not, It's somehow, I think in all, federal government must have to be careful the way they handle this very case, because so many people are watching, the world is also watching, and if you look at the El-zakzaky issue, seems they have built a lot of, connection here and there. So I think in all, they should be very, very careful the way they handle this issue. Thank you.
All right, Francis. Thank you very much.
My own input here at this juncture is that, first of all, people should ask questions. Why did he request or demand to be transferred overseas? Is it that the medical system here is inefficient, they cannot solve his problem, or the doctors here are not competent to treat his ailment? I'm talking from a layman's point of view now. It could be one of the two. Because we have doctors.
Or it was simply his preference. Okay. There's a third option.
Okay, third option. Is
both of those two parameters you cited might be in the negative, but the third might be that it's just my choice.
Okay. The bureaucracy of Nigerian government, successive governments, is this issue of information dissemination. We have a big problem there. For the trained mind, when you listen to the El-zakzaky spokesperson, a trained PR man, a trained journalist, can deduce whether this is a spin or a factual revelation of anything. So, on many occasions that they've been putting statements out there, you can see it borders on, something that has to do with propaganda. Mm-hmm. And I don't see why the federal government would just sit idle. Even the last statement issued by a PAMSEC, I was just looking. I was just saying, well, is this a professional or who? Or just because it's a PAMSEC, they ask him to make a statement. They have media officers there who have, told the story as it is. Because here is a man who said, well, I want to go to India. Before you say you pick the hospital, before you say you want to go to India, you must have known, or somebody must have told you about the hospital in the first place. And then when you get there,
as well as perhaps maybe, at that time Malaysia, Indonesia, and Turkey, yeah. but he chose the India. One he chose.
What is there is that when we see application for medical treatment, you state the name of the doctor.
I'm going to come back to you. Let me quickly take Samson in Dublin, Ireland. Good morning, Samson.
And the problem is most of our so-called human rights lawyers and all those kind of things, like what, they will be quoting laws that are not existing. If we want peace in Nigeria, we should say things the way they are and not trying to be manipulating the poor Nigerians, saying this is how it's been. I live in Europe. I know the way the system works. Nobody will fold his hand and allow an individual to overthrow his government or his establishment or whatever. So what I'm trying to say is that our lawyers should be very, very careful. They are the ones that are causing problem within our systems. They just want to make sure that, this is this, this is that. And that is what I just want to put across.
Okay.
All these so-called social lawyer. Please, thank you. God bless you.
Okay, thank you very much for calling in. But that's what lawyers do. Lawyers defend or prosecute.
We don't write the law. The law has been written, and anybody that did not want chaos in the society.
No, interpretation is very, very. The law has been written, but interpretation is everything. Interpretation is everything.
It must be done. It must be applied in a proper way. That's the reason we're having this problem in Nigeria. We will not apply it. We want to do that. This is the best way. We cut the corner, and when you cut corner, we find issues like this, and that's the reason I'm advising either of the legal team go back to court, report to the court. The order has been obeyed, and if anybody has anything against the order, we obey the order. It did not make use of it. But another problem is that is the government, he paid to go. They are paying back. Does it mean that it's the one coming back? That is the issue. That's the reason we said everything must be done appropriately. Then they must have a discharge. Either he said self-discharge or note. If you don't have that, that means he's coming back and said, they deprived me. This is evidence. It is more than just what you are thinking.
Evidence,
law of evidence.
I hear what you're saying. But would you agree that you are actually, right now, not that you are, but you're giving us the picture of what El-zakzaky defense lawyer might be saying?
Yes.
Yes. So that's your position.
You have to be here to advise.
Okay.
And bring everything that is
hidden. So that's the position you're adopting.
That's the position.
Even though you are not, but you're adopting the position of that. If I were his defense lawyer, this is how I see it. Right?
If I'm a prosecution and I'll be
right now you're being defense.
Not that I'm doing the defense. I'm expecting that this is what they come with, and I have to put it out to the prosecution team so that they will be ready for all the answer. They get their document. They should not just say, okay, we are bringing him back. They should make sure that they get the proper discharge, showing that he's the one. They have that report. So when they come to court, and if they are saying they want to have second bite at the cherry, they will bring it out and say, he said he's coming back. And we have to make sure he's back before something else happens.
Yeah, but will you also allow, sir, that just as you're a lawyer and it is based on the knowledge of the law that you are saying what you're saying, that they also have lawyers, in the other side too, both from SSS to government to everywhere. They also have knowledgeable lawyers. So when you say that they need to be sure that they get a discharge certificate, I'm taking all of that for granted. And as long as they are not, it's not play, they are only professionals.
They may not, that's the reason we're here to talk. Not every angle you can see, not every side you will see.
The man
so we will be able to see.
The man discharged himself, and that very expression, discharging oneself.
I'm going back to Nigeria.
Yes, I'm going back to Nigeria. There must be a process. It won't just be with mouth, as you are saying. You are saying they should remember to bring back the certificate of self-discharge.
Yes, we have to say that.
And that's the reason I said.
That's the reason I say that.
The SSS people that were with him.
When you want to make application, I'm a lawyer. We do it. When we want to make application, we put the name of the doctor. And this is the doctor. It is not the hospital. And the doctor is in so-so hospital. Sometimes the court can say, that doctor, if he can come and vary the order, and say if the doctor can treat him in Nigeria, is the doctor.
Okay.
Not the hospital per se.
Yakub in DOPEMU, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Sir.
Thank you for calling.
Thank you very much. Good morning to you guys. I think I quite agree with one of the scholars who says he don't believe that El-zakzaky is not okay. El-zakzaky, for me, I may be wrong, I may be right, but this is my own personal opinion. Say El-zakzaky, there is nothing wrong with the man. He is okay, he is well and good. If you know that you are not okay, you request that you want to out of the country in order to get the best of health facilities. And then court grant you that order, and then the government obey the court order, and then you're out of the country. Getting to that place that you are going to, based on your request, you are not saying that you don't trust the doctor. Who else do you want to talk? If you don't trust the doctor here in Nigeria, for you to be dead treated here in Nigeria, and then you go out of the country, you still don't trust the doctor over there. The doctor over there know you in the session in order maybe you want to do anything that is not palatable. So the doctor is there, all eyes is on you. I believe the doctor over there cannot even do anything wrong to you. And then I believe, as I said earlier, the man is okay, nothing wrong with the man. The man should have his day in the court because El-zakzaky as a person, and then as a leader of the AMS or whatever their name is, they are not only Muslim in this country. God Almighty Allah stated in our Quran, says that you are a Muslim. God was never called us Shia, He was never called us Sunni, He was never called us all sorts of names and others. You are a Muslim. And then a good Muslim can never lead a team whereby you be facing the government of the day. I'm a Muslim. I dare disagree with El-zakzaky and his team because Muslim preach peace. And then in this country, Chief Jori, I want to ask you, mention any organization that ever has a encounter with a federal government or the military as a whole. Because the military in this country, it is a symbol of this country. Nobody, I repeat, that can have the monopoly of facing death. That is my conclusion this morning. El-zakzaky should have his day in the court. There is nothing happen to the man. Thank and God bless you, sir. Good morning.
Thank you very much. Well, this is...
You see, what I want to add on...
Because we're rounding off now.
Is that from my personal observation, from my personal experience of the little, quote unquote, that I know of that cult, because I regard them as a cult, is that, this is, I'm putting this out to the public for anybody to contradict me. This man has been a thorn in the flesh for successive governments. He looks only, I'm not condoning what the army allegedly did by killing 300 people, 400 people. The way they handled it, I don't approve of it. But the fact is that some governments, past governments, have been so scared of this man. This man was a government on his own. People will tell you that I'm saying this to the public for the world to hear. Let anybody come and contradict me. I was in the service. I knew who he was. Everybody knew who he was. And even some of our past heads of the military, they have to, allow him to...
be circumventing him rather than confronting him.
Get into trouble.
Okay, but this administration decided we've got to take this matter on.
But the fact of the matter is that maybe the approach was wrong.
Okay.
Killing all of, if they did, because everything, according to law, is alleged. So this type of thing, nobody should be allowed to be a law to himself. The law is there for all of us to follow, and if he doesn't, let him have his day in court.
Okay.
What I'm expecting now that we should look at how to accelerate the trial, to go into real proper trial, instead of all these application, granting. Now they have to report to court that we have obeyed the court order. Now we want to continue with the trial.
Indeed.
And they should be ready, put every witnesses ready, and then the trial commences. All these things will be put to rest. No bail again will be asked. Once the serious trial has been, then he come and open his defense.
All right then. Well, thank you very much, Mr. O.J. Akinwale, lawyer and public affairs analyst. Appreciate your perspective. And Major Debo Basharon, retired security consultant. Thank you very, very much for coming on as well. Appreciate your perspective as well. Okay, so that's our program. Please join us on Monday for a fresh edition. And do have a great weekend. I am Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.